Alright, so let a little time like pass after everything that happened, but obviously we know Major's not there to be Kang anymore. So begs the question, what to do with Kang in general now? But it already talks about him being replaced. But even if you replace the actor, what does that necessarily mean? Now, also, I was like, I've seen people say that like the way that Loki is ended, they can also just sort of just like, man, that was it. It's over and done with. And I was like, it sucked because yes, Mater was doing really well as a character. The character itself is interesting of like Kang and like like just knowing just a little bit of the lore of him or whatever in the comics and stuff. But in the MCU, he's been a dud. He's been a dud. Let's be honest. He's been. I don't think he's been. I don't think he's been good as a villain. You know, like how most people complain about the MCU and saying like, oh man, their villains are redundant. They're just the same. You know, blase blase. I don't even think you could say that with this one here. Like, yes, it's not. It's redundant and just how he just like. But also too, I'm like, he's not even anything. Like, even at least when it's those characters that's kind of like, oh, they're just clones of the main character, or they're just here for wham bam thank you ma'am. I mean, yeah, but I was like, they still sort of make something throughout the movie that you're just like, we know he's the villain and he gonna die, but hey, it was still a good movie. But Kang is just like, he's here. They ain't do nothing for him, nothing about him. It just kind of, I mean, a little bit backstory, but ain't nothing that you give a damn about. And I'm like I mean, and I was like, I'm one of the few people that I was like, I think I'm in the minority, and I'm like pretty good with a lot of stuff. I'm pretty good with the movie. I'm not. I was like, if you want me to, if I could do like pros and cons and nitpick or whatever, then I do like and don't like. For the most part, I'm like, fine movie. Like Ant-Man and Quantumanium. I was like, I like the movie. But I also know the purpose of the movie, and therefore that's why I can't like it. At the same time, I'm like, oh, cool. So Kane just gets his ass beat, and he really does a little bit of backstory, and that's really about it. Okay, cool. All right. Even in Loki, I was kind of like that was, I was like, at least that was just a level of Loki story that has Kang in it than Quantum Mania trying to have Kang beat it. But because I was like, that movie was really a Kang movie than the Ant-Man movie, and Kang didn't even really was all that in there. So what should they do with it? Now, on one hand, I was like, they changed the Kang Dynasty movie, and they're pretty much going to be Avengers 5. So it's like, all right, cool. I guess they're just going to sort of just sweep underneath the rug a bit, where maybe they do a mini movie early on, maybe with Kang or something like that. So they're going to recast him. They're still going to do something with him. Now I was like, no one don't know how like it's going to end with Secret War and what's going to be after that. But I'm gonna say you could like the problem is you gotta it's like you running a thing where Kane could just be a regular dude. Cause I'm like you could do something where like every few movies or whatever, how long you want that to span, he just pops up and he sort of is the villain in this or something like that. But then that's sort of like yeah, but after a while you just like oh he's just like a putty up Power Ranger. You don't want that. But I think maybe you stop really necessarily showing him. You stop having him in these fights, especially if he's just gonna lose. But maybe you have him just be behind the scenes in a way where it's like some things that you just like that maybe how they should have did them in the first place, where it's just like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? What are these? What are those? Um, and then you just sort of like and it's almost like and I get it's a little too close to Thanos, but I was like that sort of work for you where you just sort of hear the name where it's just like somebody just reading it like in Eternals, I was like Knight Whitman or whatever, the dude with the Black Knight guy. He's going through his history books. Or Moon Knight, how he's doing his history and it's just like, who is this Kang guy? I was like, I've been hearing about this Kang guy. I was like, I heard about this Kang guy. That's weird. I was like, yeah, how he's over here with the Egyptian stuff, but he's also over here with the Roman stuff. Like you can just like that's how you sort of piece together and just like what, and then you just come across a variant that happens to be in like one of their regular timeline, and you just like he's just a regular old person. It's weird or whatever like that. You know, I was like they could have did that like I meant with like the TVA and stuff like that. Like this is what you do in all the other different shows, and you could just have him be building it along the whole time, and it's just like I was like, and then you just start being like, you're like, oh man, in 1312, I was like, he was the guy that I was like hell, you can even use I know nobody likes to really say it, but conspiracy theory type stuff or scientific stuff where it was just like where we're just like, oh, this is like the first city. I thought this was the first city. It's like how like we're like always discovering like new cities that like that tells us a new point of human origins. You could have used that in the timeline thing, and you could just say like that's the reason for all that is because of Kang. I was like, I remember seeing the thing. Who knows how true it was or not, but about this got nuclear radiation around it, or you could say the Chernobyl thing is because okay, like you could do things within all this in order to make it something worth it. To where you don't have to scrap him, but you can also have him going, and he's maybe not the big bad of everything, but he is a big bad that makes you realize something else maybe is around the corner that's even more destructive. But as of right now, I was like, there's really no way of telling what they're going to do. I was like, but I think at the same time, you don't have to scrap him, that he still is a useful body. I don't think that it's going to be bad of people being like, oh man, as soon as they see Kane, they're just automatically going to think like it's the guy that did all this stuff that was convicted. No. I don't think people are. We're in a different time to where it's like I think we're especially with all these superhero movies now, we're able to understand like okay, they just changed the person. Duh, how that other dude got in trouble. Duh, like it doesn't be like oh my star like you don't so like you like that's where at least most people can compartmentalize. That's not a big thing. But anyway, I was like, do you think they should keep Kane? What should they do with Kane? If they do keep him, you like my idea? What's your idea? Let me know. And talk about Kang another time, I guess, if he pops up.